My husband is with me to harm me. It was only after marriage that I realized my husband was addicted in that area and I could hardly keep up. But this kind of exhaustion is happiness. After all, 10 years of secret love finally bore fruit. Until one day, a young woman told me that she would be my husband's lover 3 years from now. She also said that I would be the seventh wife my husband deliberately kills. Her appearance shocked me for a long time because she looked so much like my husband's deceased first love. She said she wanted to bring the time forward and become my husband's lover now. Then, pretending to be concerned for me, she said, "Sister, leave him. Let me deal with this villain." She said her name was Kiki and repeatedly warned me, "I'll give you 1 month to leave him, no later, okay?" I found it a bit funny. This girl didn't look very old, probably just 18 or 19. I just thought she was young and reckless, so I didn't pay much attention to her words. After leaving the cafe, I went to the supermarket to buy fresh lamb chops. Vincent usually loves drinking lamb chop soup. Every Tuesday, the supermarket sells the freshest lamb chops, so I always come to buy them on that day. I had just bought the lamb chops when I received a message from Vincent. "Honey, tonight I want to eat bull's whip. Get ready for a big night with you." I couldn't help but blush. We had just been at it most of the night yesterday. Doing this every day is really starting to wear me out. I told Vincent about this issue, hoping it would be 2 to 3 times a week at most. But he insists on at least 5 times a week, no matter what I say. He said, "Honey, I love you so much." The clearest sign that a man loves a woman is giving all his strength to her. I love Vincent deeply. I had a crush on him since high school, so when he treats me like this, it only makes me feel overwhelmingly happy. I bought bull penis and was happily preparing dinner. Halfway through cooking, I suddenly received a video. As soon as I opened it, my heart skipped a beat. In the video, Vincent was eagerly kissing the girl he met during the day, Kiki. The two of them were passionately involved, kissing from the doorway all the way to the bed, doing everything they shouldn't. Afterwards, Kiki snuggled into Vincent's arms and coquettishly asked, "Aren't we moving too fast? We just met and already ended up in bed. Aren't you afraid your wife will be upset with you?" He lifted the corner of his lips in a lazy smile, looking down at Kiki with deep affection. "A wife is just for washing clothes and cooking, but you're different. You're for making love." With that, the two of them did it again. I was struck, as if by a thunderbolt, frozen in place, my hand holding the phone trembling uncontrollably. Tears fell onto the screen, blurring the intertwined limbs inside. I thought my 10 years of secret love had finally come to light, but unexpectedly, just half a year after the wedding, this happiness was shattered by Kiki. Maybe no matter how good I am, I can never compare to a replacement. I don't know when Vincent came back, but he bought a bouquet of roses and came straight to me, speaking in a coquettish tone. "Wife, I miss you so much. You have no idea how anxious I was during this shift today. I wish I could be with you every moment. Being with you makes me feel like the happiest man in the world." As he spoke, he held me in his arms and lazily kissed my neck. I happened to see the strawberry marks dotted on his neck and the peculiar after-smell on his body. I cupped his face, wanting to get to the bottom of everything, but just as the words were about to come out, his phrase, "A wife is just for washing clothes and cooking," flashed through my mind. At this moment, I felt that 1,000 questions would be useless. I swallowed the words that were on the tip of my tongue. I saw Kiki again. Vincent brought her home and said to me, "Honey, this is the new intern assistant the company assigned to me. The young girl doesn't get paid and has nowhere to live, so for now, she'll stay with us." I expressed my resistance with a cold face. "Then you can lend her money or help her rent a place. Why must you bring her home?" Vincent's face instantly darkened. Before he could burst into an argument with me, he gently said to Kiki, "Kiki, go out and buy me a pack of cigarettes first." As soon as the door closed, Vincent asked me with a stern face, "Do you really see me as that kind of person? We've only been married for half a year and you already doubt me. You've loved me for almost 11 years, right? We grew up together, so you should know what kind of person I am. Why are you so hostile toward a young girl? The only person I love is you. I wouldn't have feelings for any other woman. I know very well what a husband should and shouldn't do, okay? I calmly watched him become angrily embarrassed, the pain in my heart prickling and filling every corner deep inside. Yes, I had loved him for 11 years, while he said he loved me for only a short 6 months. In the 10th year of secretly admiring him, my mother forced me to go on blind dates. Unable to resist the pressure from home, I planned to just find someone to marry casually and start a new life. Unexpectedly, Vincent was unhappy about it. He said, "I finally realized that I love you. How about we get married?" I was flattered because since Tanya died from depression 8 years ago, he hadn't spoken a single word to me. I thought he had untied the knot in his heart and no longer blamed me for fainting from low blood sugar that day, causing him to miss seeing Tanya one last time. I didn't expect I was being naive. Vincent put his hands on his hips and said, "Don't overthink it, she's just my assistant, okay?" His expression seemed to say that I had no choice but to say okay. I felt like I had lost all my strength and means, and I pursed my lips without a word. Kiki came back, looking pitiful and pretending to be understanding, saying, "Vincent, maybe I should go set up a tent in the park to live. There are surveillance cameras everywhere now. Please don't be unhappy with your sister-in-law because of me. She's not upset. Rest assured and stay here. She won't mind." Vincent spoke to her in a gentle voice, just as tender as when he spoke to Tanya years ago. He looked at me, his calm tone carrying an irresistible authority. "Nina, cook us 2 bowls of noodles." Kiki pushed her luck, saying, "Vincent, wouldn't this be too much trouble for sister-in-law? Making hand-pulled noodles so late. I feel a bit guilty." Before I could respond, Vincent said firmly, "It's no trouble. I'll take you to your room first to have a look." Without waiting for my consent, Vincent took Kiki to the room. I held back my shattered heart and went to the kitchen to make hand-pulled noodles. Soon after, Kiki took advantage of Vincent stepping outside to take a call and came into the kitchen. She put on a facade of kindness, but every word she spoke stabbed at my heart. "You know, while you were here making noodles for us, he was in the room just now, practically kissing me until he could barely breathe. If I weren't afraid you'd hear and not be able to bear it, I wouldn't have kept quiet. He was trying to sleep with me just now. Are you stupid? Your husband even brought me back here, and you still have the patience to endure this. Do you think this makes you virtuous? You're just being lowly." My hand paused mid-cut on the noodles, anger surging to my forehead. Sensing my change in expression, her tone immediately softened. "Sister, I'm really doing this for your own good. Believe me, tonight your husband will be in my bed. As long as I'm in your house, he won't touch you anymore. From now on, you'll have no dignity with him. If you don't believe me, come catch us in the middle of the night." I stared at her, wanting to tell her that I never compete with women for men, especially not for men who are easily swayed. But the words caught in my throat, and I said nothing, feeling it was completely unnecessary. In my eyes, Kiki was just a third party with no bottom line, desperate to climb up. When Vincent came back, I had already cooked vegetable and egg noodles. He picked up the fried egg from his bowl and gave it to Kiki. "You're too thin, eat more." Kiki playfully winked at him. Vincent is so nice. He really knows how to care. I froze in the kitchen, watching them like a loving couple, my heart feeling like it was being roasted over a fire. Whenever we ate together before, the fried egg in my bowl was always given to him. He never once gave me the fried egg from his bowl. "Only love you." Vincent said this very quietly, but I still heard it. I stood stunned in the kitchen, feeling as if my soul had been taken away by ghosts, until Vincent's voice came from the living room. "Nina, could you please wash the dishes?" His voice brought me back, and at that moment I realized how ridiculous my true feelings were. I didn't wash the dishes and, exhausted, went back to my room to sleep. At some point, Vincent wrapped his arms around me from behind, kissed my ear softly, and whispered, "Wife, You worked hard today, love you. I pretended to be asleep and didn't respond to him. Just as Kiki said, Vincent really sneaked off to see Kiki in the middle of the night. The low moans coming from the next room became unbearable, and in anger, I threw off the covers and got out of bed to catch them in the act. The next second, my reason stopped my fury. Even if I caught them in the act, what difference would it make? Nothing would change. The next day, I organized all the bank deposits, planning to settle everything if I decided to divorce. The total joint marital property amounted to 520,000 yuan. Vincent and I had originally planned to use this money to buy a small courtyard house on the first floor. Now, the house was the marital home provided by Vincent's family on the 17th floor. I have a fear of elevators, so for the past 6 months since our wedding, I've been climbing the stairs up and down 17 floors every day to go to work. To save money for a first-floor house, I haven't bought a single piece of clothing or eaten out at a restaurant since we got married. To save on gas, I take a 2-hour round-trip bus ride to work every day. Our salaries are about the same, so if we divorce, half of the assets will go to Vincent. The phone on the table buzzed with a message notification. It was from the bank, showing jewelry shopping expense of 520,000 yuan. I instantly panicked, thinking my card had been fraudulently charged. Just as I was about to rush to report it to the police in a flurry, Kiki sent me a video. In the video, she was wearing a huge diamond ring the size of a pigeon egg on her ring finger, proudly showing off to me. Sister, look at this diamond ring. Isn't it beautiful? Your husband bought it, a full 598,000 yuan. Since your husband didn't have enough money, he even took out an 80,000 yuan loan to help me buy this ring. Sister, do you think it's pretty? Your husband said that if I don't like this one, he'll get me a new one. I told him you don't have money. Sister, guess what your husband said? He said we can sell your marital home. He said nothing else matters as much as making me happy. You see, this is the destructive power of a first love. I'm not his deceased first love, yet your husband has sold off his property to please me. Aren't you going to leave? My heart felt like it was being crushed on the floor, a thunderclap on a clear day. I couldn't believe Vincent would hurt me like this. He knows better than anyone how hard it is for me to save this money. I climbed 17 flights of stairs every day to get around, my legs aching terribly. I once suggested selling the marital home to exchange it for a ground-floor apartment. But he said, this house was bought by my parents. If we sell it now to exchange, the elders will be unhappy. Don't worry, I'll work hard and definitely get you a ground-floor apartment soon. Yet now, to win the favor of another woman, he shamelessly wants to sell off the family property. I didn't go back home. I sat alone by the sea for a long time. Vincent sent me a message. Honey, the money we have, I lent it to a friend to tide him over. He will pay it back as soon as possible. I stared at the message in utter despair, letting out a cold smile, too exhausted even to be angry. Suddenly, Kiki appeared beside me. She casually sat down next to me, acting like she knew me well, and patted my shoulder. I know you're hurting inside, but better a short pain than a long one. I'm here to help you, not to harm you. I glared at her with deep hostility, wishing I could slap her face to pieces. Kiki smiled gently, as if she had guessed my thoughts. You want to slap me to death, but you won't, because you know that even without me, there will be other women. Saying that, she took out a file from her bag and handed it to me, looking like she had accomplished a great feat. I've gathered all this information. Do you know how hard it was for me? I casually opened the file. The first page was a wedding photo of Vincent with a woman. Below it was a photo of the woman's tombstone. The second page was with another woman, and this woman was also dead. The third, fourth, fifth, and sixth pages were all different women. These young women all ended up dead. I was shocked and could hardly believe the information was true. No one knew he had been married 6 times. Kiki told me all these women died after being with him, and their deaths were legal and justified. He never married you because he loved you. He hates you. His purpose in marrying you is to make you die, and to die painfully. Do you think the nights he spent entwined with you before were out of love? Not at all. It was his way of wanting you dead. If you still don't believe it, the sea is right here. Pretend to jump into the sea and see if he cares whether you live or die. I have already decided to divorce. Kiki's provocation doesn't work on me. My only question is, why does Vincent want me dead? Suddenly, Kiki snatched my phone, pushed me forcefully into the sea. The waves surged and swept me in, and Kiki quickly took a photo and a 2-second video, sending them to Vincent. I blurted out a sentence. Vincent, I hate you. After I die, you can openly be with your mistress. I struggled out of the sea, and before I could slap Kiki, she sincerely said to me, Sister, I really mean well for you. This is a perfect chance for you to test Vincent's attitude after your death. Whether what I said is true or not, you'll soon know the truth. I really wanted to know if Vincent wished me dead, so Kiki and I disguised ourselves and hid not far away. After 2 hours, Vincent finally arrived. He came running to the beach, gasping for breath. Although the sky was gradually darkening, I still saw him from a distance, frowning anxiously as he looked out over the sea. By then, there were no tourists left on the beach, and the only sound around was the sea breeze brushing over the water's surface. Vincent took out his phone to make a call, and not far away, the ringtone sounded from the sand. That was my phone, deliberately thrown there. Vincent ran over, picked up my phone from the beach, and he seemed to believe that I had really jumped into the sea and called the police. Then he went to the staff in charge of the seaside to request to see the surveillance footage. He remained calm throughout, nothing like how he usually said he wouldn't survive without me. Kiki reassured me, I've tested it. The camera in this place is broken. Vincent won't find you. I asked her calmly, since you say you do all this to help me, why are you helping me? She tilted her head to look at me and said softly, because you are pitiful and kind. I know you might not believe me, but I don't care whether you believe it or not. In the previous life, after you found out I was with Vincent, you didn't punish me like other crazed original partners would. At that time, you were sick and I was sick too, but my illness was much more severe, a fatal disease. Once, I provoked you to make you leave Vincent, but unexpectedly, my illness flared up and I was in agonizing pain right in front of you. I thought you would take the opportunity to watch coldly from the sidelines. After all, I was the mistress blatantly destroying your family, which was indeed hateful. But I didn't expect you to save me. You called emergency services for me and took care of me attentively. So, in this new life I'm living, the one thing I can do for you is to keep you away from Vincent, that scumbag. I continued to dig deeper. You said I was sick. What kind of illness do I have? Kiki shook her head. I don't know that. Vincent didn't tell me, but you look very unwell. Then how did I die in my past life? And how did Vincent's previous 6 wives die? Kiki was stumped by my question, her expression turning heavy. It seems they all died of illness, and so did you. She looked confusedly at the black sky. It's really strange. It seems like every woman who was with him died of illness, every single one. What exactly did he do to us? To make us all die of natural causes. I just felt that all of this was too absurd. Just as Kiki said, the surveillance really was broken. Vincent had returned to the beach, and the police had already come to investigate, telling him to wait for the results. As soon as the police left, Kiki's phone vibrated. It was a call from Vincent. Kiki held the phone up in front of me. See? What a scumbag. Trying to have fun with me at a time like this. Kiki settled me in a rented room without surveillance cameras. She installed the app and password for her home security system on my phone, allowing me to watch their every move through the monitors. I sat on the sofa, staring at the surveillance footage on my phone. In the video, Vincent and Kiki were entwined on the sofa. Although I had long since given up on him, seeing this with my own eyes still made my heart ache as if it were bleeding. It turned out that my death stirred not even a ripple in his heart. How ridiculous our childhood affection had only ever bound me alone. Kiki sat on his lap, hooking her arms around his neck, deliberately batting her eyes seductively as she asked, "What's wrong? Brother Vincent, you seem unhappy." Vincent's lips curled up slightly, and it was clear the smile was forced. Nina might be dead. There was no emotion in his words. Kiki's emotional fluctuations, however, seemed quite genuine. No way. What happened? She jumped into the sea. She must have found out about us. I didn't expect her to be so fragile. Vincent took a deep breath, then seemed somewhat relieved. Kiki deliberately acted coy and jealous, asking, "I see you seem pretty reluctant to let her go. You must have loved her a lot." "It's all my fault. If I hadn't appeared, it would have been better." She deliberately squeezed out a few tears, sobbing with guilt. Vincent wiped her tears and gently comforted her. "Sweetheart, this isn't your fault. Maybe everything is the best arrangement. My person and heart are with you now. All right, let's not mention her anymore. Talking about her only makes you upset, and it's not worth it." Kiki asked with tearful eyes, "Husband, will you marry me?" "Of course, after 15 days when the police confirm there's no news, I will prepare a funeral for Nina." Those words came lightly from his mouth, as if the one who died was just an insignificant dog. I laughed bitterly, tears falling onto the screen, blurring the image of that dogman inside. Maybe that's for the best. The more completely your heart breaks, the more resolutely you can turn away. I went to the fridge to find something to eat. Kiki had prepared a lot of food for me. After eating and taking a hot shower, I lay down on the bed and quickly fell asleep. It turns out that once a person dies in your heart, they really can't stir any waves inside you. After going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I played on my phone for a while, then curiously opened the surveillance footage from Kiki's home again. In the video of the bedroom, Kiki was sound asleep on the bed while Vincent was smoking on the balcony. The surveillance footage showed smoke swirling around, with a pile of cigarette butts at his feet. It was clear that he had been smoking on the balcony for a long time. He never smoked before. The first time he did was in high school. Back then, he would occasionally hold a cigarette in his mouth to look cool in front of Tanya. But Tanya disliked the smell of smoke and would fan the air near her nose in disgust. The smell of smoke is so awful. From then on, Vincent never smoked again. He loved her with respect and caution. During that time, my entire youth was filled with sadness, yet on the surface, I had to pretend to be generous and wish him well in winning the beauty he desired. I couldn't see Vincent's expression clearly until he collapsed against the wall, slowly sliding down to sit on the floor, covering his face with his hands, his shoulders trembling. Only then did I realize he was crying. What was he crying about? Tears of joy? He took out my phone and searched through my chat history, text messages, call logs, and even my TikTok browsing history. The more he looked, the more out of control his emotions became, his shoulders shaking even harder. Suddenly, he made a call on his phone. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. Before speaking, he wiped the tears from his face, took a deep breath, and feigned calm. "Mom, has Nina called you?" It turned out he was calling his mother-in-law. After I married him, my parents had an accident and passed away. As an only child, I no longer had any blood relatives in this world. That day, he looked at me with eyes full of tenderness, cupping my face and solemnly telling me, "Nina, you still have me. I will love you forever, never be apart from you. As long as I am here, you have a home." Now his vow feels like it was just yesterday, yet our home was destroyed by his own hands. My thoughts drift back, and I see him tilting his head back, holding back tears, not telling his mother about my jumping into the sea. No, she just had a little quarrel with me, nothing serious. "Mom, if Nina calls you, you must tell me immediately." After hanging up, he called again, reaching out to my usual friends, pleading with them to notify him promptly if they heard any news about me. And it was only a little past 3 in the morning. After making all the calls, it was already past 4. Once again, he covered his face and wept. My heart stirred slightly, unable to understand why he was crying. The next day, early in the morning, he went out, using the excuse of being busy with work to Kiki, but in reality, he went to the police station. Kiki had hidden a pinhole camera in his clothes, and from the video, I saw him ask around at the police station. After not getting any news about me, he went to the cemetery. The name and photo on the tombstone were Tanya's. He stared at Tanya's photo for a long time before slowly speaking. "Tanya, no matter what Nina did to you, I am still not happy, you know? Before she got into trouble, I fantasized countless times that as long as she died and went to hell to apologize to you, only then could I feel at peace with you. But why, when she died, do I feel so sad inside? Tanya, if she hadn't pretended to have low blood sugar and fainted that day, causing me to miss seeing you one last time, we wouldn't be like this. If I had come to find you, you definitely wouldn't have jumped, right? We would have lived happily together, right? It was Nina who blocked our happiness. I deserve to hate her, and her death should satisfy my heart and my will. But Tanya, she's dead. Why does my heart hurt so much? I didn't want her to die. I fell in love with her. By the end, Vincent was sobbing uncontrollably, collapsing to the ground as if his spiritual support had been ripped away, crying harder and harder. I suddenly realized that Vincent had always blamed Tanya's death on me. So the reason he married me wasn't because he loved me, but because he wanted me to die by his hand, to personally avenge Tanya. I sneered, tears streaming down my face. Why blame me? How innocent the first was. I had no idea Tanya would jump off the building that day. I was feeling unwell, and it was Vincent who took the initiative to take me to the hospital. He could turn a blind eye to my secret crush, but he couldn't treat me like this. Vincent stayed in the cemetery until dark. Kiki called him, but he deliberately didn't answer. When he got home, the moment he opened the door, he blurted out as usual, "Wife. Wife. Wife. Wife." After searching through each room and not seeing me, the tone in which he called wife slowly choked up. He collapsed beside the living room sofa, his eyes swollen badly, just catching sight of my solo photo on the coffee table. Vincent tried to stand up, but immediately fell back down. He crawled over, picked up my photo, touched the face in the picture, tears falling onto it, choking as he murmured, "Wife, why do you have to punish me like this? Why? Why don't you come to me with anger? Argue with me, scold me, even hit me. That would be fine, but why hurt yourself like this? I was wrong. Please give me one more chance, okay? I was really wrong. I thought if you died, I could avenge Tanya. But now that you're gone, I feel like I can't go on living either. I was really wrong. Please come back, okay?" The photo was soon soaked with Vincent's tears. He sobbed uncontrollably again and again. After sitting in the living room for quite a while, Vincent returned to the bedroom, opened the wardrobe, took out one of my pajamas, hugged it to his chest, smelled it, and then lay on the bed crying for a long time before finally falling asleep. I just found it ridiculous. Wasn't he deeply devoted to Tanya alone for so many years? So why bother now? The next day, Vincent was woken up by a knock on the door. Neither fully awake nor asleep, it was a delivery. He signed for the delivery and opened it to find a whole box of ultra-thin disposable condoms. We never used these between us. Once, I suggested using them because we had just gotten married and I didn't want to get pregnant so soon, but he refused stubbornly and wouldn't agree to use them. Now buying this big box, could it be for Kiki? Suddenly, he started laughing at the box of ultra-thin disposables, muttering like a madman, "Wife, these are all for you. I thought we'd use them when we're together, but why won't you give me that chance?" I couldn't help but murmur to the video, "You can use it with Kiki." Vincent carried a box of disposable ultra-thin ones into the bedroom he shared with me. He rushed out of the house without brushing his teeth or washing his face and went to Kiki's place. As soon as he entered, he said nothing and completely ignored Kiki, who was sitting on the sofa watching TV. He headed straight to the bedroom and started rummaging through everything. Kiki, confused, followed him and asked, "Honey, what are you looking for?" Vincent didn't stop searching and asked seriously, "Where's the diamond ring I bought you for nearly 600,000? Take it out for me. It's on my hand." Kiki raised her hand, the large diamond ring sparkling brilliantly, dazzling beyond compare. Vincent was like a different person, no longer gentle with her, coldly demanding the ring back. "Give it to me." "Honey, no, this is the one you gave me." Kiki pulled her hand back, but Vincent was stubborn and forcefully took the diamond ring off her finger. Kiki was hurt by his rough action, frowning and crying out in pain several times, but Vincent remained indifferent. "What are you doing with the diamond ring?" Kiki asked angrily. "I'm going to find the best rescue team to look for Nina. I have to find her." "Why are you looking for her?" Kiki shouted in anger. Vincent's eyes were sharp. "She is my wife. I love her." "What do you think I'm looking for her for?" He said this loudly and firmly, completely tearing apart his relationship with Kiki. Kiki argued with him, trying to snatch the diamond ring back. "The diamond ring is a gift from you to me. You said you don't love her, that you only love me. Why do you have the right to take back something you gave me?" Vincent lost his patience, pushed Kiki to the ground, and with eyes blazing, grabbed Kiki's collar again to warn her, "You better not have provoked my wife. If I find out that her accident has anything to do with you, I won't let you off." I was stunned by the scene. Isn't Kiki a sweetheart? Just like that, they've turned against each other? Kiki was also dumbfounded. The person who was whispering sweet nothings and calling her baby just the night before suddenly looked like she wanted to devour her. Everything happened so suddenly, seemingly not as Kiki had expected. Vincent sold the diamond ring for 300,000 and used all that money to hire a search and rescue team. At the same time, he urged the agent to expedite the house sale. "He's waiting to get the money to find me. Half of that money was hard-earned from my 9-to-6 job, working like a beast of burden. If I'm getting a divorce, I definitely want that money back, especially since Kiki said I might get sick." When Vincent was about to give money to the search and rescue team, I called him, and he answered immediately because he had put up missing person posters everywhere. He used to never answer calls from strangers, but now he doesn't miss a single call. "Vincent, it's me." Hearing my voice, Vincent was stunned for a moment, then exclaimed with joy, "Honey, where are you? Can I come find you? Let me explain to you, okay?" He was extremely nervous, afraid that I would hang up. "Okay, let's talk." I gave him the address of a cafe and agreed to meet 2 hours later. Kiki called me, and as soon as I answered, she scolded Vincent harshly. Vincent took away the diamond ring he gave me. "I was originally going to give that ring to you since it was bought with your money. Sister, I feel like something's not right. When you died in your past life, he acted like nothing happened, but now he's almost gone crazy looking for you," Kiki said, then suddenly felt that this statement wasn't accurate. "No, you died less than 2 days ago in the last life, and I died too. I'm not sure if he was sad for us, but even if he was, so what? He's just a scumbag, not someone worthy of forgiveness, a scumbag." I arranged to meet him. "We're going to formally discuss the divorce." I paused, then sincerely added, "Thank you, Kiki." Kiki suddenly smiled happily. "Sister, you finally believe me." "You're welcome. Anyway, this is the most meaningful thing I've done. It's not a waste of the second chance at life that heaven gave me." I went to see Vincent. He arrived early, and when he saw me, his eyes reddened with emotion. He looked terrible, even more haggard than he did in the video, completely colorless. He cautiously called out to me. I sat down opposite him, my expression cold and much calmer than his, and slowly said, "Let's get a divorce. I know about you and Kiki, especially about you sneaking into her room at night. I know about that too." Vincent lowered his head in guilt, his shoulders trembling slightly. When he looked up again, his eyes were filled with tears as he pleaded, "Honey, I was wrong. I will never do anything to hurt you again. Please forgive me this once, okay? I'm begging you. Please don't leave me." He reached out to hold my hand, but I pulled away. Right now, he only made me feel like swallowing 10,000 needles wouldn't be too much. Vincent grew even more anxious, his voice choked with tears. Nina, after all these years together, just give me one last chance, please? I gave a cold smile and shook my head slightly. No. I stared into his eyes full of regret and slowly said, we've known each other since we were kids, but we haven't had many years of feelings. You know I've had a secret crush on you for 10 years. If we were truly meant to be together, you would have come to me long ago. You marrying me was nothing more than to take revenge for Tanya. I know all of that. Vincent, my feelings for you ended the moment you brought that young girl into our home. I realize I don't know you at all. I am actually your 7th wife. But none of that matters anymore. Your life is so colorful, with so many women involved. Why shed tears in front of me? Vincent looked at me in disbelief. He didn't expect me to know these things. He opened his mouth, wanting to explain, but felt as if he had no words to defend himself. After holding it in for less than a minute, he humbly said to me, it's not what you think. I know we have a trust issue. You don't have to believe me, but can you believe me on one thing? My love for you is real. I thought I didn't love you, but when you disappeared, I belatedly realized that you are the most important person in my life. These 2 days without you, my world truly collapsed. I said I never expected that you married me because you wanted to kill me in the same way. How innocent were your previous 6 wives? Do you feel any guilt in your heart? Vincent's painful eyes grew redder and redder. He choked up and said, it was wrong of me to hide this from you. When I married them, it was just to numb myself and give up on this miserable life. I never expected the first wife to get cervical cancer, the second one too, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the 6th all had cervical cancer. Starting from the 3rd wife, I was deliberately experimenting. I didn't expect that any woman who stayed with me for a long time would develop cervical cancer. I asked the doctor, and the doctor said I carry some kind of bacterial infection in that area, and being with a woman for a long time makes it easy for her to develop cervical cancer. I admit that at first I had those thoughts about you too, but then I changed my mind. I bought a lot of contraceptives. Nina, I really don't want to hurt you anymore. I really bought the protection. The previous 6 wives, I didn't love them. I was just trying to spite you, to get revenge. Honey, I know I was terribly wrong. I'm begging you. Please give me one last chance, okay? I was thunderstruck, never expecting that Vincent had been coming to me every night before just to infect me and let me die from it. I found it so ridiculous that I laughed. Vincent, you scumbag, you bastard, go to hell. Suddenly, Kiki rushed out, holding a long fruit knife, stabbing it straight into Vincent's heart. Vincent was caught off guard and suddenly collapsed in a pool of blood. I was startled, frozen in place. Vincent stared at me with all his might and said, yes, sorry. I love you. Before I could react, Kiki was restrained and the police came to take her away. Before leaving, she smiled and said to me, what I owe you, I have finally repaid. Don't feel sorry for me. I was already ill and didn't have long to live. Nina, you must live well, like a lily, growing towards the sun. I looked at her, tears blurring my eyes. As the handcuffed Kiki walked away, she shouted loudly to me, promise me, live well, and never let any rotten person bother your life again. I slowly opened my mouth and responded, okay? Thank you, Kiki. From now on, I will live facing the sun.